You were not born to obey. You were not born to kneel. You were not born to be a whisper in someone else's empire. You were born to lead. You were born to rise. You were born with fire in your blood and a rebellion in your bones. But they buried it. They buried it under rules, under fear, under lies they called education, under cages they disguised as comfort. They told you to be quiet, to be careful, to follow the rules, to wait your turn, to stay in line. But somewhere deep inside you, even when you tried to silence it, something kept screaming, no, no, I am not made for this. No, I will not wait. No, I will not ask for permission to breathe fire, because something ancient lives in you, older than their systems, louder than their lies, stronger than their fear. It is the same fire that burned in every soul that ever dared to lead the world forward. It is the scream of revolution echoing through your blood. It is the spark that says, I was not born to be managed. I was born to lead the uprising. They told you safety was the goal. Be safe. Stay quiet. Don't disrupt. Don't ask too many questions. Don't raise your head too high. It might get noticed. It might get cut off. They call this life. They call this freedom. But it's not. It's a prison made of comfort. Because what they sold you as safety was always a leash. A chain dressed up as protection. A script disguised as guidance. A cage lined with pillows and screens and mindless rewards so you'd forget you ever wanted to escape. And the moment you began to wake up, they told you that you were dangerous. They were right, because the moment you begin to question the system, you become more powerful than the system. The moment you stop asking, will they accept me, and start asking, what do they deserve to rule me, you become a threat. And threats must be pacified. So they flooded your world with distractions, with noise, with comfort, with fear. They want you to believe that to rebel is reckless, that to lead is foolish, that to rise is to risk everything. But the truth is this: you risk everything by staying silent. You lose everything by staying small. You die a little more every day you obey a world that was never built for your freedom. The lie of safety was always meant to make you forget who you are. But you are starting to remember, and once you remember, once the fire returns, once the voice inside you stops whispering and starts roaring, there is no going back. You weren't made for their safety. You were made for something they fear more than anything. You were made to lead. To lead is not to be praised. It is to be watched, to be judged, to be misunderstood, to be blamed for what others were too afraid to fix. It is to rise first and fall hardest. It is to carry burdens no one else dares us to touch and still walk forward like your legs aren't breaking beneath the weight. This is what they won't tell you. Leadership is not applause. Leadership is sacrifice. It is silence when you want to scream. It is discipline when you want to collapse. It is vision when everyone else sees chaos. It is choosing to move forward anyway when everyone else says it can't be done. You will be alone. You will be doubted. You will be betrayed by those you were trying to free. And still you must lead, because the uprising needs direction, because the fire needs form, because chaos without courage becomes nothing more than noise. True leadership is not about ego. It is not about power. It is not about control. It is about carrying the vision when no one else is strong enough to see it. It is about walking into the storm when everyone else is running from the rain. It is about knowing that the first one through the wall is always the one who bleeds the most and going through anyway. That's what I know, what Malcolm understood, what every rebel who ever shifted history embraced. You will be hated before you are honored. You will be burned before you are believed. But if you rise, if you walk for it despite the cost, then you are no longer just part of the revolution. You become the reason it exists. You will never be ready. You will never feel certain. You will never be fully prepared. But leadership was never meant for the perfect. It was meant for the willing. So ask yourself, not, am I good enough? But, am I willing to carry the weight? Because that's what it takes. That's what defines you. That's what makes you the spark. That turns a broken crowd into a blazing movement. There comes a moment in every uprising when belief is no longer enough, when dreams are not enough, when anger is not enough, when you must become something greater than the world's resistance. You must become the storm, the force that cannot be reasoned with, the fire that cannot be contained, the rising flood that washes away the rod of fear. Because this world, this system built on obedience and silence does not fall politely. It does not crumble because you ask it to. It must be torn down, ripped from its foundations by those willing to be relentless. And that means you cannot simply oppose it. You must overwhelm it. You must become the storm that makes the old world tremble. The timid will tell you to be reasonable. The cowards will beg you to be patient. The comfortable will scream for you to wait. Ignore them. There has never been a revolution born from patience. There has never been a freedom gifted to the polite. There has never been a tomorrow built by those too afraid to upset today. The storm does not ask permission. The storm does not negotiate. The storm does not apologize. It moves. It destroys. It reshapes the world in its own image. And that's what you must become, not a petition, not a suggestion. A force, an inevitability, a living reminder that rebellion is not an option. It is destiny. The chains that bind you will not fall because you pull gently. They will fall because you tear them apart with everything you have, because you decide that you are done waiting, done begging, done surviving, because you realize that freedom does not come to those who ask for it. It comes to those who seize it. You are not a citizen of their crumbling order. You are not a disciple of their dying gods. You are not a servant of their broken systems. You are the storm. You are the fire. You are the rebellion. And now it is time to move. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, not when they say you can. No. There is no one coming. There is no savior, no perfect leader, no permission slip waiting to be signed. It's you. It has always been you. And you've known it, even if you tried to forget. Every time you felt out of place, every time your voice shook with truth, every time your heart ached at the sight of injustice and stayed awake when others slept comfortably in denial. That was not weakness. That was not failure. That was the fire. That was the rebel inside you refusing to die quietly. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel strong. You only need to decide that you are done pretending, that you are done playing small, that you are done watching the world crumble and calling it peace. You must become what you were always meant to be, the rebel, the builder, the breaker of chains. You must carry your fire like a weapon and your purpose like a shield. You must walk into the storm with the full weight of every ancestor who bled for the dream of a freer tomorrow. You are their voice now. You are their vengeance. You are their unfinished sentence finally spoken aloud. This world will not understand you. Good. You were not born to be understood. You were born to be feared by the systems that profit from your silence. You were born to carry the revolution, not in your hands, but in your soul. You were born to speak when the cowards go quiet, to move when the fearful freeze, to rise when everything in the world tells you to kneel. You were born to lead the uprising, and you already know what comes next. There is no more waiting, no more hiding, no more hoping someone else will step up, because you're not someone else. You are the fire, you are the storm, you are the uprising, and now is the time to rise. Not tomorrow, not when you feel safe, not when they say you're ready. Because this world was not made for silence, it was made for fire, and fire is what you are. You were born to lead the uprising, so lead. If these words awaken something in you, you're not alone. This is just the beginning. Join the rebellion, subscribe to Rebel Chronicles, and rise with us.